This is Barry Malphurst. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Board and the Chairman of the Policy Committee. We'd like to thank anybody who felt it necessary to come to our policy committee meeting here today. You are welcome to listen to what we have to say, and we're thankful that you are here. The first item on the agenda is calling the meeting to order, which of course I just did. So the next item on the agenda is the statement of announcement that Ms. Susan Beck is going to read for us now, please.
A meeting notice announcing the date, time, and place of the October 13th Policy Committee meeting was distributed October 9th, 2020 to appropriate media and other groups or individuals who have requested notification. The announcement and agenda were posted at the Department of Disabilities and Special Needs Central Administrative Office and on the website. The public has been notified that accommodations such as interpreters, mobility assistants, or other assistance will be provided to individuals with disabilities and special needs if requested in advance.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the invocation, which I'll give very quickly. Dear Lord, thank you for allowing us to be here, and thank you for the work that you allow us to do for those who you have chosen for whatever reason to have disabilities across this state. We pray that we would do what's in their best interest and the best interest of all those around this state. And we pray you would keep us safe and keep those that are driving safe as they go home, and have this meeting go as you would see fit. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. The next item on the agenda is adoption of the agenda, and the only thing I want to say about that is we may need to move something up. So Susan, how long do you think Section A will take you? Because we might need to go straight to Section B, because I don't think everybody is going to be able to stay here all the time that we have this meeting today, even though it's not going to be long.
I was thinking 3 to 4 minutes.
Does that seem okay with the rest of the committee?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that's fine.
Okay, all right. So then I want a motion to adopt the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move we move forward with the agenda as written.
Second. We have a motion second. With no further discussion. Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carries. The agenda is adopted as written. Susan's going to take this first section for us, if she would please.
Sure. Thank you all for the opportunity to give you a quick update on the policy committee process, and actually shed a little light on the staff review process that's sort of the behind the scenes part of policy committee preparation. So obviously you all as a committee take part in an extensive preparation for each meeting, and we're very thankful how committed to you all are in doing that. It's very much appreciated. But we wanted to make sure you are aware that staff are also extensively reviewing and preparing documents, not only for the committee meeting, but through the whole fiscal year 21 review list that your committee approved. So we're working in advance, we're having lots of meetings, and we're following a prescribed process that has internal deadlines, as well as kind of a forecasted deadline for when our documents will be ready for either your review in committee, or ultimate, if they're referred to for staff for external review and revision, to go to the commission meeting. So we've got kind of a tabular format for keeping everything in progress. But I wanted to just make sure you all were aware that we were being very methodical and conscientious about that, because we know there's a lot of work to do. You all have been working very, very hard. Even prior to this fiscal year starting, we were able to complete 6 documents, which, you know, the prior year we did not complete 6 documents. So that was really ambitious. And then in fiscal year 21 so far, we've completed 12 complete reviews. Now that is actually also ambitious. I know I've told Commissioner Malphurst that we're definitely a set of overachievers, but there's a lot of work to do, because the whole body of documents that we're seeking to review in a 4-year period is 180 documents. So break that down over 4 years, that's about 45 a year, or we try to kind of we say 4 to 5 documents per meeting, but if you see our agendas, we've never stuck to that, have we? Because they've been kind of, queuing everything up, getting them kind of ready. So there certainly is a lot to be done. Through our review, we're emphasizing reducing unnecessary language and requirements, and that sometimes requires us to look again at something and determine maybe we don't need it, we need to mark it obsolete. You'll see some examples of that, and you have already. We're clarifying requirements to reduce ambiguity, and then we're also combining documents where it makes sense to do so, because it doesn't make sense to go to kind of 3 different related documents. In many cases, it'd be better to kind of make it more succinct, combine it, and that requires more extensive review, more extensive rewrite. So there's lots of adventure to come as we approach that, as we move forward. We are also looking at, where possible, staying true in our directives to policy and separating out some of those procedures. There are certain topics where it makes sense to include some procedures along with the policy, the rule portion of the document, but we're considering that on a case-by-case basis. So in general, too, just to give you all some expectations, if you see a document 1 month in policy committee and then you're referring it to staff for delegated review, there is the revision process, and then also the external review period, which is 10 business days. Then there's the turnaround with those edits before they would come to a commission meeting. So in many cases, the shortest timeline for that is about 2 months. The longer timeline obviously is more than 2 months, but typically 3 or 4 months. So when you refer something to staff, it's not lost. It's definitely on a chart. It's making progress, and we'll provide any necessary updates on that too anytime you'd like. But I wanted to make sure we all had kind of a clear understanding of what's kind of going on behind the scenes, and know that if it feels a little bit disorganized at times, it's because we're kind of re-steering the ship. We're kind of taking documents that we think we would review in fiscal year 21, and maybe we look at it and think, oh, there are 2 more documents we need to add to that to kind of combine and rework. So that's why you'll see a lot of the documents, even a couple documents today that we're recommending for review, be put on the fiscal year 21 list that were not, because as we've gotten into another companion document, we determined the review should be done simultaneously. So that's my quick review. Do y'all have any questions about that so far?
Let me just say that, go ahead, do what? Go ahead, David.
No, I had no questions.
Oh, I was just going to say very quickly that that we're obviously going to be doing the health revisions next month is what our plan is, and then we will not be meeting in December. So hopefully the staff can do some more work while we're not meeting in December to get some of the stuff behind us that we need to get behind us, so that in January we can actually have some policies that we can approve, as opposed to sending them to staff starting in January to get back going again. Beyond where we are now. You want to take this latex protocol and vaccination information and energy management together, Susan?
Yes, I just wanted to provide a quick update. Obviously, you all saw some drafts of the commission agenda go out, and we will be closing the loop on those 4 directives that Commissioner Malfrist just mentioned that had been referred to staff. And so they went through a staff revision, external review where necessary, and they're coming back to the commission for approval. The one directive that went out for external review, immunization, we received no comments back. So you'll be seeing it in the actual draft revision form. The other 3, we are recommending that they be combined or marked obsolete. So we're making lots of progress, but I wanted to forecast that that's what we would be presenting on the commission agenda. That's it.
Susan, how many staff members do you currently have working with you guys?
So the document managers, are typically our executive staff, associate directors or chief financial officer or risk management director or other risk. Kareem, what's your full title?
Information security.
Information security, also risk management, another kind of risk management director. We have about 15 to 17 people who are actual document owners who would be engaged in the editing. Every version will also go through a policy area review through my area with Janet Priest. You've also met her at some of these meetings. She's online here. And then Pat and Mary additionally review everything for consistency and accuracy and give great input on those documents. So it's an extensive team, and it really varies by subject area.
Okay, that's good. I just wanted to make sure that that we had a staff working on this, and that you had a sufficient staff to do what we're asking you to do.
Sure, and we also rely very heavily on our administrative support, Colleen Honey, who emails you all information, and she does a fantastic job and really is probably the mastermind behind a lot of the organizational strategies. So we appreciate her as well.
Great, thank you.
It's worth mentioning, Susan, that these 4 items are all we're planning on bringing to the commission in a couple of days, right? So when that's on our agenda, so that's all we're going to be doing is marking these obsolete, and then we're recommending they be marked obsolete, correct?
The latex would be a recommendation for obsolete. Immunization would be recommendation for approval. Vaccination would be recommendation obsolete. And then energy management system operations and parameters would be recommendation to mark obsolete.
Okay. All right. I think that does that item, unless somebody has something else. The next item on the agenda is, I just want to make sure I got that straight for the meeting. But okay, the next item on the agenda is the prevention and responding to disruptive behavior in crisis situations, which is probably the biggest part of our agenda for today. We've actually made some more revisions that Mr. Thomas and I talked about, and those revisions have now been made. There's actually a criteria in there for for what is and is not supposed to be used. Generally speaking, obviously no choking or any cutting off of air in any way. And then there's actually a list of approved ways to do it also in there on page 2, I think, of that, or 3 of that document. So I think we have it pretty close to the way it needs to be. Is there any? I assume there's probably some questions or comments about that policy from somebody else. I don't have any right now, but does anybody else have any?
Mr. Chairman, I do have a few questions that I'd like to get asked on 600-OIDD. And the first question I have, and I'm not really sure who would need to answer this, but I just want to make sure we've got things straight. How many behavior support plans does DDSN receive from providers using plan restraints each year as required? I guess it's on page 9 of the directive.
I thought we were on 56704DD.
Okay, I'm missing it then. I'm on the wrong one. Hold on. Okay, all right, we're on a different one. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was on a different page.
Oh, this is preventing and responding to disruptive behavior from.
Okay, that's a different one. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I'm off one. That's okay.
All right. Dave, do you have anything else to add to this disruptive behavior? Are we good with this?
Yeah, I'm good with this one. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a motion to accept the disruptive behavior as written then?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded for the disruptive review policy. It does. There is we need to before we approve it. Let me say we're obviously approving it today, and there is a possibility that that this policy in the future would be marked obsolete, and we would end up combining it with other policies. But I think the commission would need to, I mean, the policy committee would need to understand exactly where this information would be if that ever became the case. So we need to talk about that more if that ever becomes the case. I just want to let y'all know that that's what their tentative plan was right now in the coming months, or I would think it would be in the coming year, right, Susan? It wouldn't be in the next few months, right?
Right, not in the next few months. It's an extensive endeavor. We're kind of looking at this as one of those directives that's a piece of the story, but not the whole story. And so it's important to combine it with related documents. So the same kind of content would likely, the core content would appear in a different form later if that were to be combined. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but if we're not even sure it's going to be, so it just depends at this time. So we'll come back to that if we decide we want to combine it and make it obsolete and that sort of, make one obsolete and start another one and all that. I just wanted to let everybody know that. So a motion's been made and seconded. Is there further discussion after I discussed? If not, is there a motion to approve it?
So moved.
Sorry, I'm here. I need a parliamentarian. Is there? Would we like? I mean, I would ask for those that approve it to say aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carries.
And Commissioner Ralphus, I'll just add, this will then be posted in this form for external review for 10 business days. We would foresee that we'd be able to cycle that back to your November agenda because it is under committee review. It would come back to the committee agenda. Just wanted to let you all know that's the next couple of steps.
Okay, and we'll plan to approve it for the November commission meeting.
Right.
Okay, and the next item on the agenda is social media usage policy. Well, I actually put that on there as sort of I wanted to let everybody know that that's actually a part of, technically the next set of items that we have. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry, technically the next set of items in section 2 that we have are being referred to, in section 3, section 2 has nothing at this time, and section 3 is to be referred to staff. But there's a couple things I want to say about that before we defer it to staff, this list of directives here. One of them is the acceptable use of network services and internet policy. I just want to generally say that I assume everybody here has read it. I don't know, but we also have a social media policy, and I'm kind of thinking that we should incorporate some of the stuff that's currently in the social media policy to the acceptable use of internet services and policy, and call it internet services and probably call it internet services and social media, so that we could incorporate some of those things, because that social media policy is kind of interesting and kind of neat. It was actually done in 2019, and just some of that stuff I think needs to be incorporated. I just wanted y'all to keep that in mind when this was referred to staff. Does everybody know what I'm talking about the social media policy that we currently have? Was that sent to everybody?
The 36709, item 3 on the agenda was the social media usage policy was sent to you, Commissioner Melfors, in our discussion of it, but the whole committee was not sent that directive because it's not on the agenda. We can certainly send it for their information, though, after the meeting today.
I'm sorry, you must have missed my email. I asked you to send it to him, I thought. Anyway, there were several things on there that I thought needed to be put in this policy that I'm talking about now. And I had mentioned this to what staff member that I talked to? Susan, I'm sorry.
Kareem.
Kareem, yeah. I mentioned to Kareem at that time. So it particularly when she sends y'all this document, which I'm sorry you don't have, but when she sends you this document, if there's anything in there that you want to see in this acceptable uses of network services and internet policy, let us know. Susan and I'll go over it again as to what I was thinking needed to go in there, but it basically just be a part of that is what I was kind of thinking. Not obviously not the whole thing, just part of it. So because I thought it was rather well written, but y'all need to read it. So anyway, after this meeting, they will send it to you, and just email us and let us know what section you think should go, if anyone should go in that policy. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Am I explaining myself well enough or no?
Well, you're fine, Barry. That's fine. So we're okay. We're fine with what you're doing.
Okay, all right. Well, then the next item on the agenda then technically is to move all these policies to staff. That's down here. The only other thing I wanted to, Susan, is there another, where this thing says 50210 DD? Oh, so 16, I thought that was another section. So we're doing all 18 right now, we're referring to staff, or do we need to, or let's do the 16, and then let me talk about 17 and 18 and 19, okay?
Sure, and let me just add.
Let's refer from number 2 to number 16 to staff right now. If somebody wants to give me a motion, and then I'll talk about. Okay. So, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Stephanie seconded. So we're going to 16 then. Referring those to staff, and then once that comes back with public comment, then we'll talk about once we get, because a lot of these are being combined. So as I understand it, so what comes back from public comment, we'll talk about at that time, right, Susan?
So the committee procedure is when you refer it to staff, it would go through revision to external review and then be presented at a commission meeting in the revised version and the final version for approval. If there's a special interest for you all to see it back in committee prior, that would just not be the current committee procedure, but there are special topics sometimes you want to do that with, like I believe 17 and 18, an example of that. So we would.
Well, then I think, unless somebody on the committee objects, I think we can just go straight to commission with through number 16. But we can bring it back to this committee if you want. But I think we just go straight to the commission with these after the external reviews are made. After for external comment.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we go straight to committee after the external reviews are made, and that we review it finally in committee.
Okay, so we go straight in the commission. Okay, all right. So that's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Or I could second. Thank you, David. Motion made and seconded with no further discussion. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Commissioner Melford, can I just clarify? So Commissioner Rawlinson, were you meaning that it goes to the commission? I think we heard committee. Commission meaning, okay, I just want to clarify that. Okay, thank you. And Commissioner Melford corrected that, but I just want to make sure we got that correct. Thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
No problem.
Yeah, we'll bring those to the commission. They're really for y'all to deal with. I would think. Stephanie, which other directive were you speaking of a minute ago whenever you said you had the wrong one?
I believe I was looking at the one I was looking at is, let me find it. It's
703?
it's 600-05-DD, and this one I've been looking at a while, and I want us just to take some time with that, because there's some things we need to answer before we address them as a policy. And and I've just got some questions about it, and I don't know if staff can answer this or if they can get answers for us on this before we move forward with that directive. Can they help us out with that information?
600-05-DD on this agenda?
No.
I don't. No, it's not. It's one that I've been working on, and I got the numbers mixed up. I'm sorry.
If you'd
Okay,
like
all
to
right.
send us those questions, we'd be glad to work them through with you directly and certainly incorporate it into any future review.
That would be great. That would be
We are,
great. I appreciate it.
we are foreseeing that that'll be on the November agenda, so it's very timely for you to give us those. We appreciate it.
Okay, that would be great. Like I said, I think we need to get these questions that I've got answered before we bring that policy and are ready to make any decisions about the answer. Make any decisions about that policy.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem.
You want to tell me Susan, you want to tell me what 600-05-DD is? Which one?
It's part of the package we're combining with Adult Health Care Consent Act, but the topic of that one is behavior support, psychotropic medications, and prohibited practices. So it touches on the need for behavior support plans for individuals with problematic behavior. It touches on, the proper or improper use and monitoring of psychotropic medications. And then, of course, they're part of the title is prohibited practices. So it talks about, what things are not allowable. So.
Okay, well that's prime for next month, right? That's part of our. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's why I thought it was this month, and I got my numbers mixed up. I'm sorry.
Okay, it's no problem. That actually is next month's agenda, and I suspect I don't think this meeting is going to go much longer, but I suspect that one will be a long one. So be prepared for that in November.
Yes.
I think it could be as long as a 2-hour meeting, I would say, in November.
I think that particular policy needs some research done on it before we move forward to make any changes to it.
Okay, well, Susan, you need to get with us with me and her on that then.
Susan, I'll pull my questions up and bring them to y'all tomorrow when I get to Columbia.
Oh, that sounds great. And Kyla Schultz is also here. She's our risk management executive, and she has been reviewing and working on recommendations for that too, as far as the whole idea of behavior support and behavior in general. We were actually reviewing it from a standpoint of Adult Health Care Consent Act compliance. So we're kind of trying to merge and make the best use of everyone's time. So we appreciate you. As soon as you get those to me, that'd be great. Thank you.
I'll put them in writing and bring them to you when I come to Columbia tomorrow.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, dear.
Thank you. Very important. Yeah, because we want to try to get this done in November because we weren't planning on meeting in December.
Yes.
So we are, and we really want to get that done because that's a very important. We've been waiting a while on that. But as far as right now, Susan, all that stuff is getting close to ready, right? For adult health care consent stuff.
Yeah, we're working on that diligently, and Constance Holloway is here, part of our directive review team as well.
Is she here today?
She is here today, and she's nodding her head. So.
Oh, well, good. Tell her to wave at me or something. I don't even see her.
She's way at the back.
Okay, all right.
She's way at the back.
I'm glad to have her back in our room again. All right. Okay. Next item. Well, it's not really the next item. It's really I don't guess it is. Let me see what I'm doing wrong here. Am I doing anything wrong?
Did you want to go to number 1, or do you want to go to 17 and 18?
Number 1.
Yeah. So directive number 1 in section 3 is 100-11, absence with leave of district director or facility administrator for duty station. We were requesting that to be referred to staff.
That's number 7. You're not talking about 17, are you? We did all the way through 16. Now we're doing 17, right?
You did 2 through 16.
Right. But we did 1 already, right?
My notes indicate that we're recommending that the section 2 through 16 was referred to staff.
I'm sorry. It was 1 through 16. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not doing good today. I'm really sorry. It's 1 through 16 is what I meant to say. And if nobody has an objection, we're just going to put that down as the motion and second we just had. I meant to say 1 through 16.
Okay.
If there's no objection, we're just going to call it 1 through 16 and just say that I made a mistake and be done with
No
that.
objection.
Okay.
No objection, Mr. Chairman. Let's move forward.
All right, moving on. The next item is, it shouldn't take much longer. The next item is, there's a related item that we've already referred to staff. It's 50210DD, which is transfer of individuals from regional centers to communities, to the community. And that one is going to be recommended to be combined with the next two, which is 700-03DD and 738-01DD, which relates to choice in living performance and discharge of planning of those that are leaving the ICFs and enrolling in the ID and RD waiver. The only thing I would ask about those is, and actually from actually going forward, if we could, to, and I know we can, so I'll just say, I would ask that we would make a motion that if it says CIF or IDRD waiver, that each time that those acronyms are used, that one time in the directive it be spelled out. In other words, of course, ID waiver is intellectual disability and RD is related disability. So it should be spelled out once in each policy, and then we can use the word ID or RD or ICF or whatever. But I think there really needs to be put down once, spelled out, so that there's no ambiguity as to what that means to anybody that was reading it.
Sure, we'll do that, and we'll make a conscious effort too in the titling on the agenda to spell them out for you all. It's actually our kind of convention and all directives. Before we use an acronym, we spell it out. So we'll make sure the agenda better reflects that practice as well.
Thank you. And just spell it out each of the directives. Because on these directives, it doesn't say, I don't think anywhere, ID and RD are not spelled out, and they should be. It's just so people they don't have to figure it out. And anybody that was reading it at any time could understand what we're talking about, or if they wanted to. But anyway, I don't know if we need a motion about that or not. I assume not.
You need to, I would make a motion that we, if you need it, that we adopt the SOPT or SOTP. That's an acronym for spell out term policy. So if you wanted to, if you needed a motion.
Let's just do it. It'd be good to do it so we can have it official. Let's just say that we're making a motion to do that for the RD and ID and all the different terms that we use for the policy committee. Did it?
Yeah, that's kind of standard. You start off with an explanation. I mean, in technical documents, you'll get a spell out, and then from then on, it's the abbreviations used, and if you put it in parentheses, the spell out term policy, SOTP, and then V is just the SOTP from then on, and everybody knows just the spell out term policy.
Okay, good. All right, that's a motion. Do I have a second, Stephanie?
You have a second, Mr.
Or
Chairman.
I can second. I'm sorry, go
I
ahead.
second.
So
I
she
seconded it.
All right, motion made and seconded. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. So that means the last item on the agenda is to refer 700-03DD and 738-01DD to the staff. So is there a motion to do that?
I so move.
I second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, the next item on the agenda is adjournment, but I will say, before we do that, I will say this is a record meeting. And I'm thankful for all of the efforts that people make to make this, that the case. Is there anything else that should come before this policy committee, according to anybody in our room right now? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move.
Motion is made to adjourn. Is there a second? We don't need it, but
I'll
I'll
second
second it. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.